Hello everyone! For today's video, I wrote a short story about what happens with Grindelwald directly after he disapparates from his duel with Albus and Abeforth, where Ariana Dumbledore is killed. I hope you all enjoy the video, and let's get started. Wham! He hit the pavement with such force that he completely lost his balance and toppled onto the empty street. For what seemed like minutes, he couldn't move a muscle as he groveled on all fours, trying to catch his breath. His heart was racing as the unrelenting hands of fear and regret seemed to twist at his very insides. His mind was filled with so many emotions, it was as if each one was a swirling color in his head, trying to paint the picture of the scene he had just left, but for some reason, he could not. Then his mind seemed to finally link back with his body, and he lifted his head from the pavement. He did not quite recognize the town that he had apparated into, but something about the surrounding snow-capped mountains seemed to calm his nerves. As he stood up, he noticed that his hands left stains on the street. He turned over his wand hand without truly knowing if he wanted to see what came next. As he opened the palm of his hand, he saw that it was covered in blood. He began to run. He did not know where, but he needed to find something familiar, something that reminded him of who he was. These feelings of fear, lack of control, and powerlessness were all new to him, and he felt like the only way to get rid of these feelings was to run away from them. But as soon as he turned a corner, he tripped and almost landed face first into a shop window. As he picked himself up, he gazed at his own reflection in the window, and the scene he had just left seemed to flash before his eyes. There were three boys, yelling indistinguishable nonsense at each other, while a little girl cried alone in the corner. Out of nowhere, a rush of color and sound filled the air as the boys began to duel. For a few split seconds, it was impossible to see anything. But then, just as suddenly as it had started, the dueling ended, and there, lying on the floor, was the body of the lifeless little girl. To her left stood the only boy he had ever loved, and for a second that held an eternity, their eyes met. And he had never seen so much pain in those piercing blue eyes. Then the scene dissolved, and he found himself back in front of the shop, staring at his blood-soaked hands. Could he really have done it? He thought to himself. Could he have killed little Ariana? Could he have caused the pain he saw in Albus's eyes? Those piercing blue eyes that for the first time in his life made him feel as though he was no longer alone in this world. He then looked back at his reflection in the window and was not surprised to see a tear slowly rolling down his face. That tear contained a single memory that held more emotion than the rest of his life combined. His eyes were then drawn to the symbol he wore around his neck, the one that had a vertical line and circle enclosed by a triangle. "For the greater good," he whispered to himself as he touched the necklace. The symbol seemed to transport Grindelwald back into his body. "It's for the greater good," he said to himself as he wiped the tear from his cheek. "And if Albus can't see that, then he does not possess the necessary qualities to make the hard choices that will lead wizard kind to glory. And who is Abeforth to question me? Abeforth with his simple mind and lack of vision. It was his fault that his sister lay dead at this very moment. Abeforth stood in the way of the greater good. And if anyone should do this, they will have to face the consequences. And if Albus does not wish to continue on our path to glory, then fine. I will take the hollows for myself. Then, maybe I'll bring back his precious Ariana," he thought to himself. But first, the Elder Wand. Yes, that is the most important hollow. I must track that down first. And with the turn of his cloak and a loud crack, he was gone. Thank you everyone so much for watching the video, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, I'd really appreciate if you hit the like and subscribe buttons. This is just part 1 to Grindelwald's story, so if you'd like me to make another video covering how Grindelwald tracked down the Elder Wand, please let me know in the comments section below. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.